Hello class, this is going to be a short example analysis of a repeated measures ANOVA using the data set that is available to you in your Lab 5 module. This is a within subjects gender perception example. Essentially what was happening in this research study is participants would look at a picture with potentially an obscured view of the subject in the picture and try and determine what the sex of that subject was. So this gives us 6 columns of variables here: female with the view of eyes, female with the view of mouth, female with the full view of the face, and the corresponding views for the male subjects. And essentially, these 6 variables are going to be split up into the factors or the levels of 2 variables in the repeated measures ANOVA. We find the repeated measures options underneath the ANOVA menu, and we select repeated measures, and you're going to see options that look like this. And essentially what you want to do is to rename your repeated measures factor here for the first variable, and then rename this factor here for the second variable. So in this case, our first variable is going to be the sex of the model, and the levels are female and male. So we can add that in. And then we can add in female and male as the levels. And you'll see that these begin to populate the repeated measures cell option here. But obviously we're not doing a test between just 2 levels here, so we need to add in the levels for our second factor, and this is going to be view of face. Once you add that in, you should get these other level options available, and we can add in those views, the first being eyes, the second being mouth, and the last being full. You can actually add these in whichever order you want. Let's say I wanted to add in full here instead of here. All that's going to do is restructure the way that your repeated measures cells are organized down here. But if you do it in the same way as the variables are structured, you can very conveniently select all of these variables here and just add them in to the corresponding repeated measure cells. So we see we have female eyes matching with female eyes, female mouth, and so on and so forth. These are all matching. There's no between subjects variable for this analysis. And now we have a repeated measures ANOVA output here on the right side. We have our F values for the main effects, both for sex of model and view of face, and we have the F value for the interaction between these two. You'll note that these are coming up significant, and if you're following along with this analysis, you may not see the same values. That's because I've created an example data set, so the actual values in here should be different than the values you have in your data set. So please don't use these answers to check whether or not you've done the exactly correct analysis. Just follow along with the steps, and that should get you what you need. There are other options that are needed to be checked here in JASP in order for you to fill out your worksheet. For instance, we need a descriptive table in addition to our within subject effects, and we're going to be writing up reports, and I believe pasting the plot from this output, and that would be a means plot. So we're going to go into JASP here. The first thing that we'll do is click into additional options, and then this is where we can find our descriptive statistics. And now we have our mean, standard deviation, and the number of each of these. And then if I want a descriptive plot, meaning a means plot, I will open up the descriptive plots option here. We're going to call the y-axis accuracy because that's the dependent measure that's being used in this analysis. And you can set this up however it seems clearest to you. I would recommend putting the view of face onto the horizontal axis. So that's going to give you something that looks like this. And then sex of model as separate lines. So essentially you get to see the difference in accuracy values for the female and male models, as well as this distinction based on the view of the face. And that is essentially everything that you should need. One more quick example of just how you would put this into your output worksheet is you would copy the descriptives table there and then just simply paste it into your Word document, and then you can use the information here to fill out all of the questions. And I hope that helps you complete this analysis.